What's up, everybody, and welcome back to some more Last of Us content. I figured this would be a cool way to kind of wrap up my excitement and all the hype with The Last of Us. I've already reviewed the first game and the second game with both a spoiler-free and a spoiler review that I did with Zach Pope. So if you want to check out my full-on thoughts of both of these games, check out those videos, please. I'm sure I'll have a card at some point in this video pointing you towards these. But this video is my top 10 moments in The Last of Us, the first game. And keep your eyes peeled tomorrow, because tomorrow morning I'm going to release the top 10 moments in The Last of Us Part 2. And that one Zach's actually doing as well. So on his channel, he'll have his own video at the same time as mine. So make sure, if you're not already a subscriber, hit the subscribe button here, hit the subscribe button over there, and keep your eyes peeled for that awesome video. But for this one, top 10 moments in The Last of Us. Like I said in my review, The Last of Us is easily one of my favorite video games of all time. I love it. Absolutely love it. I think it's a masterpiece. And when it comes down to picking the best moments in this game, it was a hard list to make. But I sifted through the game and came up with the 10 moments that meant the most to me. So starting right off with number 10, to me, is the outbreak, the opening of this game. Once the post-apocalyptic, cordyceps virus starts to take a hold of people, that entire opening sequence is an awesome standout moment in The Last of Us. Not only do you get introduced to your characters, but you see the whole thing through the eyes of a child in Sarah, and you're kind of like, you can even control her and like look around inside of the car and see everything, all the chaos going through, where people are getting eaten, people are asking for help, and you have to drive past them. Then the car crashes in the city and you got to like run through crowds.
Daddy, I'm scared. Oh no.
Watch out! Keep your eyes closed, buddy!
Oh my!
Ending with the heartbreaking moment that will be higher on this list. The outbreak is pretty awesome. I mean, it's something we've seen in a lot of zombie apocalypse movies, but somehow it was more emotional and it just felt more real, the fact that you were able to kind of walk through it and experience it. Number 9 is going to be the giraffe moment. This is basically the calm before the storm. This is just before the final act of the game, when you find the fireflies and shit goes down. You have Joel, you have a emotionally distraught Ellie because of everything that just happened with David and that whole team of cannibals, where she's not really reacting much, she's not talking much, and then suddenly she just gets excited about something and runs away. And you find out that she is seeing this herd of giraffe kind of go through alongside this abandoned building. And it's just a really cool, quiet moment, which both of the Last of Us games have really standout moments with. It's just those, for violent, explosive, huge, emotional, waiting story that is going on in both of these games, you have these quiet little moments that stand out so much, because that's like where the humanity comes out. That's like that childlike innocence that you see in Ellie just at marvel with this giraffe, and even Joel to a certain extent, and the fact that when you finish the game you realize that was like the last moment of just pure bliss between the two of them, really, that it works. It's a great moment in the game. Number 8 is going to be the moment in Bill's town whenever Joel steps on that little snare trap and gets hung upside down.
I got you.
Damn it, Bill!
Has to fend off all of the infected while Ellie cuts away at the rope. It's a very intense scene. It reminds me of some of the other shooter games, like Max Payne 3 had a couple of moments where you go up in a zip line and you have to kind of shoot at things while you're hanging. But it's a really tense sequence because you're trying to protect Ellie, you're worried for Ellie, but you're also worried for yourself because you have clickers and runners coming at you, which are enough to handle on your own when you can run around and try to get away from them and dodge them. But when you're just literally laying there like a hanging piece of meat in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and you just have to try to reload and get headshots and keep them far away from you, it's a very intense gameplay moment. Number 7 is actually for the DLC continuation of The Last of Us, and this is the moment that is definitely the kind of the emotional climax of Ellie's introduction, Ellie's backstory. It's a story that we hear throughout the game about her and this friend that did not survive when she got her bite. And you can kind of put the pieces together if you pay enough attention to the way that she says it and to the details that she omits throughout the main game. But whenever you actually get to play as Ellie with Riley, when you're going through this mall and you're just kind of having this childlike fun night out where you're, doing photo booth games and your squirt gun battle and all this other stuff where it's just kids trying to be kids in this post-apocalyptic world, And then you get to the scene when it's pretty much laid all out for you that Ellie really loved Riley, and her love was returned by Riley moments before that love was taken away from both of them forever.
Sorry. For what?
So that whole scene, the don't go, and it's so emotional. And you know, it's funny because I'm somebody, hopefully this doesn't get me in trouble, but I'm somebody that doesn't really like in storytelling whenever you have inclusion just for the sake of inclusion. Like, it's like, all right, we threw it in there just for a get out of jail free card, but we're not going to do anything with it. I like it when it's a part of the story, or if they make it matter to the character, or if it's actually an interesting piece of that character. And this is one of the best ever as far as revealing a character's sexuality, especially a little girl, when most times characters that young, it doesn't even really come into play. Revealing a character's sexuality just totally amplifies all of what you already know about this character, especially the tragedy. The tragedy of Ellie just gets amplified after that reveal and that scene. Number 6 is going to be the moment that tore the heart out of all of our chests at the beginning of The Last of Us and let us know that this game is not fucking around as far as emotional stuff, and that is Sarah's death. It's the very end of the outbreak after you've survived and you and Tommy have came through and you've got through this abandoned bar, and Joel is running up to the highway and you meet some military and it's like, oh, we're saved, we're finally here, and nope.
Got a couple of civilians in the outer perimeter. Please advise.
Daddy, what about Uncle Tommy?
We're gonna get you to safety and go back for him, okay?
Sir, there's a little girl. But... yes, sir.
Just the raw emotion in the voice acting and the motion capture of Joel and Troy Baker whenever they are doing this scene where Sarah has died. And it's just, as a father, just thinking about it makes you like, oh God, I'm gonna cry.
No, please. Please don't. Please.
It's the moment that changed Joel forever. It's the moment that turned Joel into the character that we know and love, and it's the moment that really kicked off the events of the Last of Us series. Number 5 is gonna be Harry and Sam's end. These are two characters that you come across randomly. You're not quite sure if you can trust them right away, but they're such great characters, which Naughty Dog is just geniuses at, just making great, likable characters just effortlessly, that these two brothers, you immediately welcome them in, and honestly, I think everybody that plays it is like, okay, cool, are we hanging out with these guys for the rest of the game? Because I like them. You have the young kid in Sam, you have the older brother in Henry, and it's the same exact relationship as Joel and Ellie. It's just the older person trying to take care of the younger person in this dangerous post-apocalyptic world. You go through all this hell together, and this whole sniping sequence when you're trying to get rid of these bandits, and then eventually clickers and everything come out, and it's subtle enough in a scene where the three that are not Joel get attacked by clickers and runners that you don't really see anything happen. And then there's this cut scene where they're going to bed, everything seems cool, and Sam reveals that he has been bit on his leg, and you're like, oh shit. And the next morning, woo, shit goes down.
Shit, he's turning! That's my fucking brother!
It's a dark moment, it's a tragic moment, it's an emotional moment because you like these characters, and it just, once again, the Last of Us, the first game, just continuously hits the reset button on what you expect this game to be, and totally makes each little individual chapter stand on its own. And Harry and Sam's end of that chapter, that is an ending.
It's all your fault! Henry! Henry, no!
Oh my God.
Number 4 is going to be when David hunts Ellie. Now, David is a very interesting character when you first meet him because he just seems like a friendly stranger that wants to trade you for some meat, for some medications, and he seems decent enough. You know, there's no red flags really going off yet. Just this young child. He's like, oh my God, okay, yeah, let's help each other out. Ellie, obviously, just because of everything she's been through, is not really trusting of him. She's just trying to get medicine back to Joel. And this whole chapter kind of goes through this cat and mouse game to where he's slowly starting to gain the trust of Ellie, little by little, to where, you know, there's even a sequence when you and him have to survive together. You have to take out a bloater, all leading up to where he reveals very slyly that they are looking for Joel. And quickly, the tables get turned on that whole relationship. And Ellie's basically antagonistic nature towards him, to where she's not playing into him, she's not going to give him what he wants, she has a smart-ass answer for everything that he says, she fucking bites the shit out of him, all this other stuff. It gets to the point where David is, it never quite says what he's going to do, but he's going to make Ellie suffer in many different ways if he gets a hold of her, all culminating in this little boss battle where it's a sneaking sequence where you're trying to go around this burning restaurant, and David sneaks just as well as you, so it's very easy to die multiple times the first time you play this, all culminating in a scene where Ellie fucks him up.
Ellie! Stop! Stop!
Fucking touch me!
It's okay. It's me. It's me. It's me. Look. It's me.
He tried to...
Oh, baby girl. It's okay. It's okay.
Oh.
It's okay.
And I think the genius in this whole exchange is that they don't get too descriptive on what exactly David is going to do. It's clear that they're cannibals, so you could think that he's just going to eat her. You could think that he's going to torture her. There's even some rapiness going on. Hopefully it doesn't get me demonetized. But there's just so many icky feelings about this character by the time that his full motivations come out, that he's terrifying. And it's very understandable why after this chapter, going into like the giraffe sequence, why Ellie is so distraught, presumably days or even weeks later, where she's just emotionally gone. She's just not talking. Number 3 is one of my favorite cutscenes that transition into a gameplay sequence moments in this entire game. I look forward to it every time I replay it. And that's when Joel and Ellie are having this quiet kind of human conversation on the road in this truck that they got from Bill. And then suddenly somebody just kind of comes out of nowhere. He seems hurt and he's asking for help, and Joel just slams on the brakes. And there's this cool moment to where Ellie is like, oh my God, what are we gonna do? Are we gonna help this guy? And Joel's just like, buckle up, get ready. And without a moment's hesitation, just guns it at him. He ain't even hurt.
Easy.
Please!
Holy shit. Help! Are we gonna help him?
Put your seatbelt on, Ellie.
Well, what about the guy?
He ain't even hurt.
Alone and sick and by feeding my man. Oh Lord, if you hear me.
And that whole thing is not only badass because it's just a really cool Joel moment that he's about to just run this fucking dude over for even trying that game with him, and it goes into a very tense gameplay sequence where these guys are just rushing into this In-N-Out Mart that you just crashed the truck into. But it reveals a lot about Joel very subtly in this scene, because not only does it show how smart and how great of a survivor that he is, how much of a badass that he is, but like he reveals in some dialogue later on, it shows that he has seen a lot of different scenarios in order to survive, and he has done a lot of dark shit to survive, and he has been on the other side of that exchange, acting like he's been hurt to try to take something from somebody. So a very cool moment, wrapped up in a lot of character stuff that is compounded by a very awesome gameplay sequence. So that whole entire exchange is badass to me. Number 2 for me is probably number 1 for a lot of people, and that is the very end of the game, and that is Joel's lie.
Swear to me that everything that you said about the Fireflies is true.
I swear.
This is when you are found your way all the way back to Jackson. You have rescued Ellie from the Fireflies, and Ellie is still not completely trusting in the story that you gave her. And it's just this moment, this exchange between them, to where she basically just lays it all out and says, look, tell me right now that everything that you said about the Fireflies is the truth. And this very subtle kind of face movement by Joel, where he just kind of stands and he's like, it's almost like a moment of hesitation, where he just does it, and he goes, I swear. And the look on Ellie's face as she just kind of ponders over whether or not he's telling the truth or not.
Okay.
Powerful ending. emotional ending, totally wraps everything up on the perfect note, to the point where, much like The Last of Us Part 2 in my opinion, to where it ends on this note that is such a great way to end that singular story, and could be a great way to end the franchise, as if this was just one game and they weren't going to do any sequels, but also leaves just enough there to where you could very easily follow it up with something else and it would be totally welcome. But the number one moment in The Last of Us to me is the moment that comes right before that awesome ending to the game, and that is Joel's rescue. The moment whenever he realizes that Ellie is going to have to die to get this cure to potentially heal the world and get everybody out of this apocalypse, and he says, fuck that. Not only is it the most intense gameplay and probably the most difficult gameplay as far as stealth in the entire game, and it will test your skills, but just the entire emotion with the score whenever he picks up Ellie after killing the doctor and is trying to run out, and you see flashlights and hear people that are just behind you, and it's just this intense, like, sweaty palms moment where you're like, oh god, get out of there, and you're putting yourself in Joel's shoes, all the way to the awesome conclusion between Joel and Marlene, to where he shoots her and she's like, stop, let me go, just do your thing, and he's like, nah, you'll come after her.
Wait! Let me go. Please.
You just come after her.
It is a crazy, badass moment, and I love the fact that it kind of creates this huge moral question. I love movies or books or video games that have huge moral questions that you can discuss with people. Was it right for him to save this one child's life that he has, an intense connection with, that's kind of his new daughter, that heals his own heart and lets the planet go to doom potentially? Or is one life worth saving everybody else? It's a question that you will get many different answers, especially after The Last of Us 2. You get a lot of different people on different sides of that coin. But it's a fantastic way to wrap up this entire country-long journey to find the Fireflies, just to have it go completely tits up like that. And it is my favorite moment in The Last of Us. So what do you guys think? What is your top 10 moments in The Last of Us? Let me know down below what your favorite moments are. We will discuss it. Be sure to keep your eyes peeled tomorrow for the top 10 moments in The Last of Us Part 2 on this channel and over on Zach Pope's channel, so be sure to show up for that. We will be waiting for you. Please like and share and hit that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber, and as always, remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.